All right, we got a massive Thursday to recap, everyone. No time to screw around here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Welcome to the show. I'm Dan Besbris, your host. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Besbris, DanBesbris, Old Man Squad on the new Blue Sky Network, and Old Man Squad Fantasy. If you just want the video shorts we put out, that's over on Instagram. Right? Obamabo, saxophone, Instagram. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to the NBA and college basketball, hockey, and UFC, plus the earliest odds. Get in there before somebody bets into them. Live in-game betting. If you see runs happening, get in on that. And the ability to watch the games as they happen. BetOnline's got you covered. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, when you sign up today for your welcome bonus on that first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's start rolling through a whopper of a Thursday card. Utah, the offense, wide awake, wake. At long last, Larry Markkinen, 27-14. I know everybody's in a full-blown panic over Markkinen, and there's some reason to be a bit panicked with the back injury management stuff, but dude is still a freaking stud on offense, and if you were able to buy low, you probably should have been doing it. Also, signs of life from Colin Sexton at long last. Is it just because they played the very bad Pistons, or is this the start of Colin Sexton starting to wake up a little bit? Although he did have 10 turnovers in this game. Good Lord, man. I didn't notice that until just now. The Jazz had 27 turnovers and won. How's that possible? Pistons only had 10? Yowza. 62 rebounds would do the trick. No real surprises on this Jazz team. They're basically a starters unit at this point. You guys know me. I don't chase Jordan Clarkson. He left this game, or he was ejected, I should say. He didn't leave the game early. But I don't play Jordan Clarkson. I don't play that. I don't like to chase the heater. It's frustrating. Yes, this obviously helps Colin Sexton when Clarkson isn't there for the entire ball game. Keontae George also playing a bit better these days. He's the shooting's come around a little bit. He's still more of a punt play, which, again, I say that, and then I think people infer that that's an insult. It's just a classification. Like, he's not a guy that you're likely to be able to use in standard 9-cat if you're not punting particular things. But we all have team builds. So anyway, don't you guys try to read too much into my crap. Anyway, nothing there, really. All that to say nothing for Utah. And again, we got like 26 teams to get through here. So let's keep hustling. Over on the Pistons side, Malik Beasley had 7 threes. He took 26 shots. That's problematic. But nobody could shoot, really, other than Cade Cunningham, who badly needs help. Tobias Harris back. Not great, but his return. Asar Thompson continued to start. I guess we should note that because Jaden Ivey was still out. But with Tobias Harris around, Asar Thompson is not a rosterable fantasy player. Beasley is a if you've got the stones only kind of dude. It's a 3-pointers stream. And then Jalen Duren, who we figured with no Isaiah Stewart would have a almost unfettered access to minutes, lost 18 of them to B-Ball Paul, who, by the way, you're not picking up because he had a really good line, but he only played 18 minutes. That's not enough. You're mostly just hoping that Jalen Duren can play better in the next one. And Tobias Harris is a hold. Obviously, he's a hold. He's a great, but anywho, onward and upward. Nothing huge from that ball game. Thunder, we've seen Case and Wallace now kind of drift the last couple of ball games. The quick hits on OKC, and again, I'm going to try to get through this show in less than a half an hour, if possible, because the recap's coming a little bit later, and there's so many games. So we're going to hustle, and then we'll pause on the stuff that's really the most important. So, yes, obviously, things like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander having huge games, that's great, but it doesn't really move the fantasy needle because he's already great, and he's already on everybody's team. Alex Caruso had a good ball game, but only 18 minutes, so that's a no. Cason Wallace down to 21 minutes. I think you can move on. He was fringy even when it was going well for him, but this ebb and flow of who's going to get the minutes for the Thunder is starting to creep back up again. So probably move on there. Lou Dort is right on the edge of value after a terrible ball game. He slid to number 90 on the season overall. He's basically an upper-level filler guy, which I think belongs on most rosters, unless you're punting turnovers, in which case then he has no value to your team whatsoever. And then Jalen Williams, who's had a couple of quieter games in a row, and not like, yes, I think we all kind of knew that he wasn't going to maintain number 6 in 9-cat leagues. The percentages were always going to slip a little bit, and the steals and blocks were going to slip a little bit. He's coming back down to the second round, which, I don't know, a cold spell here might have some panicked. I doubt it, though, because everybody that drafted Jalen Williams was super excited about Jalen Williams, and so it's unlikely that they're going to be like, oh, yeah, no, now I'm not excited anymore. But, you know, if you're in a league where someone accidentally ended up with this guy who has like 7 position eligibility and is awesome, see if you can get him for like a late second, early third. Orlando lost Jalen Suggs early in this ball game, which meant they really had no choice but to turn to someone else. Tristan Da Silva took 15 shots, but he doesn't have much in the way of fantasy game. Gogo Atadze is a guy who you're playing. Obviously, he was the other clear yes besides Jalen Suggs. But now I can't help but wonder that if Suggs has to miss any time and you've removed all usage players from the equation, someone's going to have to do something. In this game, Anthony Black took 14 shots. He had 23 points, but didn't do a whole lot else. KCP actually had a slightly better ball game with 5 assists. I don't know that I'd have the confidence to grab and start any of these other guys, but you should at least watch them in case Suggs misses a couple of ball games. Also, it's worth pointing out, Paolo Banchero is close. And then the whole thing, the apple cart gets tipped again, and then we'll have to refigure it out. So I'm leaning towards a little bit of the lazy answer on Orlando, which is just don't. Like, it's so much work to try to figure out which of these guys is going to be something, when in fact, there are all these other injury replacements floating around on the wire that would be much easier to grab and enjoy and not have to worry about. And so that's basically where I land with this one. Charlotte. LaMelo Ball, big ball game. I was wondering why he had a questionable tag. They're wondering if he's going to sit a back-to-back. Mark Williams will almost definitely sit a back-to-back, so you might have a one-game Nick Richards re-explosion. But look how good Mark Williams is in 19 minutes. 16 and 8. The guy is a top 50 fantasy player if he can ever get himself up to 26 or 27 minutes a ball game. I don't know how long that's going to take. He's been back. How many games has Mark Williams played now? What are we at with you, Mark Williams? You are at 6 games, and he's up to 19 minutes. It started at 8, then it was 11, then it was 14, then it was 14 again, and then it was 17, then it was 19. So it's a slow and steady crawl. I think we're looking at probably another 2 weeks before he's at what you'd call extremely safe, startable value. But we might even be looking at like maybe 3 games from where you'd say not that safe, startable value. Either way, that's pretty cool. Mark Williams is finally, a full damn year later, getting there. Brandon Miller missed this game. Seth Curry played 32 minutes. Just something to file into the Rolodex for next time. I think Miller's going to be back for their next ball game, so I don't think we're going to have to worry about that particular footnote. And then Miles Bridges, much as I don't really want Miles Bridges on my team, he is a buy low at rank 115 or 120 or whatever he's at right now. I liked the higher number of shots in this one. The defensive stats are low this year. I think they probably inch back up a little bit with the percentages. I mean, he's not going to be a top 50 guy. That Miles Bridges is gone. But could he get up to, like top 80? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Not excited about it, but probably. Let's keep moving. That's good from that ball game. Or that from that side of that ball game. Over on the Wizards side, they got a bunch of guys back. Keyshawn George is back. Corey Kispert is back. Malcolm Brogdon is back. So the big wonder was, I wonder what this is going to do to Justin Champagnie, who had been on full afterburners mega blast for the last, I guess it was 4 games basically when all these guys were out. And the initial report here, game 1 of a bunch of these guys being back, is that Champagnie still played pretty well. But 27 minutes is not 35 minutes. It's just not. As well as Champagnie played in this one, if he's stuck at 27 minutes long term, that's probably not enough. Still, he played well enough to buy himself another game on your roster, right? You're looking at it, you're like, well, this was okay. Good percentages, some points and rebounds, basically. Not a whole lot else. But, 4 or 5 things is enough to kind of get you through and say, I can watch this a little bit longer. If the lines start to dip, if the minutes dip further, that gives us our answer of what to do with him. And if it comes back a little bit, even better. Because by all accounts, Jonas Valanciunas is on the block. Malcolm Brogdon is on the block. Kyle Kuzma, who's out, is on the block. I don't know what Corey Kispert's contract situation is, but he's probably on the block. Jordan Poole, you'd venture to say, is on the block. I don't know that they're going to be able to move him because he's making a bunch of money. So there's a lot of ways that this could go back to being better for Champagnie. There's also plenty of ways that it could continue to get worse. It's very much a coin flip right now. But again, I think the short version is he did enough in this game to say, let's give him one more. See what happens in the next one. Coulibaly is rocking. That one was one of the hardest holds ever, but you did it. You made it, and now you get to enjoy it. And Brogdon is an ad. Malcolm Brogdon is an ad as long as he is upright, which we figure will be about 2 weeks. That's typically about how long Brogdon lasts before his next injury sets in. Man, that dude is broken down. But he sure puts up numbers when he's upright. That's good, right? Not picking up Bub Carrington. I don't think I need to talk about that. And good to see Jordan Poole have a nice ball game. Chicago surprising the Boston Celtics, dealing the vaunted C's only their 6th loss of the year. And, of course, this is the kind of win, and Chicago's actually won 3 games in a row. These are the kind of wins where they're going to be like, I guess we don't need to blow this thing up. Zach LaVine was great, 36 points on only 19 shots. Vooch, 7 out of 9 shooting again. I have no idea what magical potion he's consumed year over year, but Nikola Vucevic is shooting 59% and rising. Wasn't that a De La Soul album? If you guys got that reference, you're weirdos like me. No Josh Giddey, so IO time is in full effect. Mega stream on IO DeSumo. Make sure he's not sitting around on your waiver wires. This is what we've talked about, because the minutes have been there for DeSumo for weeks now, but the production comes around when a usage guy is down. That's when he gets more shots. That's when he gets more assists. That's when he gets more rebounds. And so Josh Giddey being out is stellar for IO. Make sure, again, he's not on a waiver wire. His rostership has been flying up the board, so he's probably not. But you never know. And then Lonzo Ball still at 18 minutes, as we talked about, not making that ad until he clears 24. And he got to 23. It was close, but he didn't get there. Celtics were mostly, right? They were mostly healthy for this ball game. No Sam Hauser, I think, was the one notable. Our guy, Drew Holiday, at least he got a steal and a block, but it's not all coming together at the same time. Some of it is Peyton Pritchard, but some of it is just weird fluctuations. I'm still holding on Drew. It's too easy to still see the path to him getting back to that 85-90 range. He's just not far away. And he hasn't been bad enough where you're like, oh yeah, I got to get out from Drew. He's not hurting your team. He's at 12-4-4 with a field goal percent that's weirdly low and steals and blocks numbers that remain a little bit on the low side. That stuff pivots back closer to where we expected, then we're okay. I mean, he's not going to world beat. He was never going to be a world beater this year anyway. Then the bigger hope, I think, was that he was going to put up some slightly better numbers until Porzingis got back, which happened way sooner than expected. So, no, I mean, you're not holding for top 50 upside, but he's better than most of the guys you're going to find long-term on the wire, and he's almost definitely not your worst player. If he's your worst player, your team is crushing. No additional thoughts. Celtics are a no thoughts team. By the way, you can drop Al Horford because we're saying we talked about that. Whatever. Cam Johnson, huge ball game, 33, 10, and 6 with a couple of blocks. He was wow. He was wow in this ball game. We were trying to figure out, and continue to, by the way, who the hell else on this Brooklyn team is going to do anything at all. I think Ben Simmons, who had 5 turnovers to kind of ruin what was otherwise not a horrible ball game. Ben Simmons, to me, is a must-roster player right now. I don't know how long his body's going to be able to handle the rigors of playing 30-plus minutes, but in 30-plus minutes, now you're talking about a guy who's going to actually have a positive impact on your field goal percent. He doesn't shoot almost ever, but he's going to kind of have no choice now but to shoot a little bit. And a little bit is enough to make that better than 50% actually functional. He's going to rebound. He's going to get assists. He's not a great steals guy anymore, but in 30 minutes a game, he'll probably average 1. And then you just hope he doesn't get to the free throw line. So Ben Simmons, Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, who's out right now. Those are the clear yeses, as is Nick Claxton, who got ejected again. I don't know what the hell's going on with Claxton. I don't think he likes being on a tanking team, would be my best guess. But those 4 guys need to be rostered on the Nets. And then everybody else is kind of a... Dorian Finney-Smith is an I don't care. You could play him. You could not play him. It makes no difference. Your team will be the same either way. He is like... I don't know. What's the food equivalent of that? He's like, you know how they say that dogs eat dog food for sustenance and not flavor? Dorian Finney-Smith is fantasy sustenance. There's no flavor. You want a 3-pointer and a half to 2? Okay, great. You want like 5 rebounds? Terrific. You want somebody to inch towards league average in almost every category besides scoring? Yeah, he'll probably hover around, 95 to 135. A very, very good filler option. And then after 2 good ball games, Day'Ron Sharpe played 10 minutes in this one. Noah Clowney got 37. Shake Milton played 29, but didn't do much with it. Jalen Wilson played 27. And if you look at all of that and you said, huh? You are like the rest of us. I don't curse on this show, really, but if I did, I would say the Brooklyn Nets, because this fantasy stuff is annoying. You know what else is annoying? The fact that the Raptors can't get healthy. Scotty Barnes came back. Yay! RJ Barrett went down. No. Luckily, it was just an illness. He should be back pretty soon. But Jakob Poeltl is dealing with some soft tissue soreness, and Emmanuel Quickley is still coming back from his non-Tommy John situation. So, meantime, at least you've got a Grady Dick safe stream. Yes, that's right. It's a safe Dick stream. Be concerned. Ochai Agbaji, 20 points. When he actually gets some usage, he's a pretty interesting fantasy player, but knowing the nights that it's going to happen is a little bit hard to predict. And frankly, I think RJ Barrett will probably be back for the next one, so I don't know that I'd go too far down that rabbit hole. Jonathan Mobo had 8, 6, 4, and 2. Yes, he is a big fan of Little League post-game cheers. 2 steals, 4 assists, 6 boards, 8 points. Who do we appreciate? Not actually Jonathan Mobo. That's not really enough. That said, if he gets another start with Jakob Poeltl out and plays 30 minutes, he's much like Dorian Finney-Smith, sort of fantasy sustenance level. I thought Chris Boucher might do a little bit more. I didn't add him in any 9-cat leagues, and then Kelly Olynyk is still on a pretty hard minutes cap where I think we would have seen more of him. Hawks and Spurs had themselves a little bonus basketball. Victor Wembanyama had 42, 7 threes, 6 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. That is a jumbo fantasy game. And it's worth noting, he's gaining ground on Nikola Jokic. They're not that close yet, but, another quiet game or two. Not that Jokic has had many quiet games, but Wemby's making a push. Anyway, not really fantasy relevant. Everybody's got Wemby. We like to talk about the guys that might be more towards the borderline. DeAndre Hunter, another really nice ball game for Hunter. I feel weirdly good about the fact that I was I don't know why I got to this point, but I was really high on Hunter this year because it just seemed like he was going to try to do more with no DeJounte Murray. And he's been good. He's number 82 in 9-cat, just sort of punching along quietly. Doesn't do much besides score, but efficiently, that'll play. I think Bogdan Bogdanovic, and I like the 31 minutes here, but he's just not, he doesn't seem right. And I don't know how long it's going to take him to get right. I do believe that at some point this year, Bogey looks more like himself. But it might be a month, it might be 2, it might be never. Could be tomorrow. But again, I don't know how you make the case to just hang on and hope. He's not really doing enough to warrant a roster spot in head-to-head leagues. He's number 180 in 9-cat. I mean, Roto, if you wanted to bench stash him and just like hope that it clicks in a month and he goes back to being a top 75 kind of guy, okay. But again, you've got all these injury replacement names that you could be smashing with, like his teammate, Larry Nance Jr. Larry had 21, 13, and 5 3-pointers in yesterday's game. And he's always been a truly monstrous 9-cat performer when he gets sufficient playing time. And this year is no different. He's inside the top 100 and only 18 minutes a game on good percentages, steals. He hits threes now. This is because Onyeka Okongwu is out. And so, you know, I know that it could all come apart very quickly, but I'm adding Larry Nance pretty much everywhere for the next 2 or 3 ball games. We know Okongwu's out for a week as of yesterday. So what's to stop Larry Nance from getting 22 to 25 minutes most games? And he got a little bit more in this one because the Hawks liked the way he was playing. He was a +2. Capella was a -9. They just were, you know, pressing buttons. And then for whatever reason, Dyson Daniels had an absolutely atrocious ball game. So I got it. Let's spend a minute on the Hawks. Dyson Daniels in particular. So Larry Nance, great streamer. Add him, play him, terrific. Everybody else, Clint Capella, punt free throw play. Hunter's a go. Jalen Johnson is obviously a go. He's been great after that kind of weird start to the year. Where's Jalen Johnson these days? Number 19? Yeah, I mean, great. Dyson Daniels, we've had a couple of guests on the show, and some of my best buddies here have referred to him as they think a buy low because he's played worse over the last, whatever you want to call it, like, I guess it's 2 weeks technically. But there just haven't been that many games over that stretch. It's like 4 games, basically. Steals are still there. He's at 2.2 over that stretch. And the other stuff is okay. He's at like 10.5 points, 5.5 boards, 4 assists. Like, a lot of the stuff is good. The buy low has to be an overreaction to a very small sample size. And that's something that, as we were talking about it in these last couple of shows, I wanted to make sure that we really, like, gold highlighted that. This is not a, like, Dyson Daniels is going to be better than his season rank kind of thing, because he's still a third rounder right now, even after this 2-week slump. This is if you can get him based on the last 5 games and you can get him for like an 80 range guy, you do it. But if you're going and trying to buy him like for a third rounder, thinking he's going to move back up into the second round, then I think you're probably overpaying a little bit. Because let's be honest, as great as he is defensively, 3 steals is probably not sticking the whole year. 2.5, that seems doable. You know, that's still a massive number, but 3 is crazy level. He's also on a weird free throw thing, like, so maybe that does come back a little bit. So if you're thinking about buying low on Dyson Daniels, don't overpay. Don't give up like the number 45 guy for him, because there's a very real chance that he does slide back a bit further. When we're talking about buy low, we're talking about more of the recency buy low. All right, let's keep moving. Devin Vassell into the starting lineup, 38 minutes in this overtime game. He might get a little bit of rest because that's a lot of minutes for someone they were kind of bringing along slowly. But the buy low window is dead. As soon as he got pushed into the starting lineup, you kind of knew the buy low window was dead on Devin Vassell. Hopefully you guys made that move and are able to cash in. Julian Champagnie back to the bench. He is likely to trend to a drop, which we've been warning you about for a long time. Stephon Castle, 21 minutes in this game. We've talked about him on the show many times. I have Castle as a active stash type, meaning could he get better after the trade deadline? It's possible. I don't have him on any of my rosters. Field goal percent, free throw percent, all that stuff with rookies is a problem, and he's not the feature guy now that they have their main 4 dudes back in there. He's just not. This is the healthy Spurs team now, so they don't have to overfeed Stephon Castle. Is he a fun young player? Hell yeah. Is he going to be good? Absolutely. Is he going to post fantasy value now? No. This season? Maybe. I don't think the Spurs are in shutdown mode. They're the 11 seed at a game over 500. They've been downright decent this year. Crap, they're a game and a half ahead of the Kings. Kings are weird. We'll talk about them in a minute. Warriors absolutely pantsed in Town Square. Just privates flip-flopping around by the Memphis Grizzlies. Lost this game by 50. 50! So if you're like, ooh, Brandon Brzezinski had 21. I invite you to look at the entire box score. This game was disastrous in every respect. Just destroyed. Wow. Out-rebounded 60-36. Outshot by almost 20%. Oof. Anyway, don't read too much into it. If you have Dennis Schroeder and you're wondering what the hell his job's going to be in Golden State, I'm actually somewhat pleased. He got 12 shots up in only 22 minutes. He had 5 assists. Schroeder might actually hang on. Not to what he was doing in Brooklyn, but maybe to rosterable, so don't drop after this ball game. And then if you're looking at the Memphis side, I mean, everybody just crushed. John Morant left with low back soreness. Don't know what the status is there. He's been kind of dinged up this season to this point, so stay tuned. But you might get a Scottie Pippen Jr. fill-in game. And otherwise, I pretty much just want to move on from this one because it was an affront to competitive basketball. New Orleans, I mean, they've got enough guys back now where the Pelicans should probably win a couple of ball games. Houston's a good team, but, like, come on, guys, be competitive. This is a little embarrassing right now. And a couple of things might happen. The Pels are dead last in the Western Conference. They're 2 games back of Utah at this point. They are 1-14 on the road. And it's an implosion. I think the Pels probably sell off parts. I think they're realizing whatever this blend is doesn't work. But I also don't think they're going to do it immediately because they've only had DeJounte Murray back for a handful of games. They haven't had Zion in there, but they don't know that they're going to get him back in there. But look, like the combination of McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, those guys should be enough to compete. They really should. I don't even care what the bench looks like. The bench is fine. Yves Missy's been nice as the center. Not good. Fantasy's been pretty good, but like reality, fine. What a mess. Anyway, fantasy-wise, at least you know who to start. Houston, be not fooled by a rare Dylan Brooks hot shooting game. Everything remains the same for a Rockets team that is strikingly healthy. That starting 5, man. I think this Rockets starting, I was looking at like lineups that have played the most minutes together. I think the Rockets starting 5 is the second highest number of minutes together of any 5-player unit in the NBA. And that's not because they're playing like an exorbitantly high number of minutes per game. It's because they've been healthy. Those guys have just been there. Good Lord. So Amen Thompson, I know that it's not, simple. You probably try to hang on and you hope that somebody, I don't know, do you hope that somebody is not injured, but like misses a game here and there? By the way, news just came through as of a few seconds ago. LaMelo Ball is resting Friday night. Mark Williams resting Friday night. Brandon Miller will take another game off on Friday night. So, yeah. You got some Hornets that you can pick up and play with, like a lot of them. Vasilija Micic is a playable guy with LaMelo out. Nick Richards is a playable guy with Mark Williams out. I don't know. Would Seth Curry even qualify? We'll talk about that more on Twitter. Again, that's at Dan Besbris. We'll discuss players to throw into your Friday night lineups. Clippers beat up on the Mavs. No surprise there. Mavs were without Luka and without Kyrie. No surprises on the Clippers side. Derek Jones came back and rendered Kevin Porter Jr. basically useless, so nothing to dig into there. Ivica Zubac sure does post nice numbers when he doesn't go to the free throw line. The hell's gone on with that dude's foul shooting? He's up to number 87 despite shooting 54% at the line. What could have been. Kawhi's getting close, guys. No Luka, no Kyrie. That meant Klay Thompson was going to get a lot of shots. He was a pretty easy call. Spencer Dinwiddie was a pretty easy call. I thought Najee Marshall would do more. He took 12 shots, and he was meh in this game. Quentin Grimes was also meh. He was the one that was kind of iffy for me. And then Derek Lively, 28 minutes. Daniel Gafford, only 14, with Maxi Kleba also logging 13 minutes. And maybe some of that was a little bit blowout-y and what have you. But Derek Lively, Adam King brought him up on, what was that, Wednesday's show? An outstanding buy low as his minutes have been trending up. And this game is going to make it a lot harder to get him because he put up a really nice line. So go try to get Derek Lively. And next time Daniel Gafford has a good line, see if you can move off of him because that pendulum is now really starting to swing. Indiana beat Phoenix 120 to 111. Well, why? Because the Phoenix Suns have gone. They were supposed to have this great training staff. Well, we'll get to Phoenix in a second. Benedict Mathurin was a little bit better in this one. He's been really bad for about the last 3 weeks after a hot start to filling in for Aaron Nesmith. I don't think Mathurin needs to be rostered in 9 category leagues. I think he's more of a schedule level guy. Andrew Nembhard, also in my eyes, a schedule level guy, but him playing better lately has rendered TJ McConnell also a schedule level guy. And then you've got red hot Obi Toppin, who had another good game in only 17 minutes. I don't know how he keeps doing it. The magic of Obi Toppin right now. If you're playing him, you're chasing this heater he's on. And, I get it. Although I think, again, he's more of a schedule level guy. Cop-out, Stan. Devin Booker left early with groin tightness. They're probably not going to rush him back from that. So, but KD is back, and Beal came back, and then they immediately lost Booker. The Suns are a bit snake bit so far this year. I mean, they're still hanging in there at 14 and 12, but man, health an issue. They are obviously better when Kevin Durant is in, but they kind of need Durant and Booker. That's the combo that's got to be out there for them. In the meantime, however long Booker might be out, Basketball Monster, as YouTubers, you can see they have him estimated at missing about 2 weeks. Grayson Allen should be the guy here. They could go Royce O'Neal and play a little bigger, but I think they're going to want Allen and his ability to... I mean, both those guys can shoot the 3 ball all right. Am I confident enough to pick up Grayson Allen and start him? I guess I'd like to know that he's going to be the starter in the next game before I do it. But I'm leaning pretty hard to yes on that one. And then, you got your normal line out of Yusuf Nurkic, who, again, has been playing better. The minutes are trending up. I just don't think he's that good. I don't think Nurkic is a good basketball player. And that's part of why the Suns keep losing, is that Nurk just isn't a good basketball player. He's what they've got, and he's big, and he can rebound a bit. But I feel like it's almost I guess we got to play this guy kind of thing. And, yeah, if you need rebounds and field goal percent and some defensive stats, that's fine. But overall, he's filler level to me. A lot of filler level guys. Royce O'Neal's probably going to be filler level while Booker's out. Grayson Allen might be a little bit better than that, is my hope. But he might also end up as a filler level guy, too. Knicks took care of the Timberwolves. Cat got himself a little revenge. Every once in a while, you can see that there's a guy where a game means a little bit more. And this one certainly felt that way. Knicks did not have Josh Hart. Honestly, I'm floored that it took this long. Precious Achiuwa got the start in place of Hart. That's right. We're rhyming on today's show. Precious had a double-double, pretty empty double-double. He's fine. Not an exciting fill-in play. If you were going to pick a fill-in, I think you should probably go with Deuce McBride, who had 16 points, some threes. He also had some assists in this game. He has a cleaner path to 9 cat value than Precious Achiuwa does, who typically is not very good at scoring, gets rebounds and steals, but then the other stuff for him has been pretty hit or miss over the years. But we'll wait and see. You're not going to make any move here until you know what's up with Josh Hart. Should we get another opportunity, McBride and then Achua for me in that order. Guys, I'm officially pulling the plug on Mike Conley. I held on as long as I could, and it kept seeming like he was going to trend in that correct direction. But he can't shoot this year, and I'm done waiting. Yes, the Wolves got blown out, so no, don't read too much into it. Rudy Gobert was awful. He got destroyed by Cat. Naz Reid got destroyed by that front court. It was just ugly all the way around. So again, you're not like going to make a bunch of moves here. But the Conley thing, the minutes just aren't consistently in the high 20s the way we need him to be. And I don't know what's up with his shot. But the nice thing right now is you could drop Conley, and I don't think anybody's picking him up. Naz Reid, I think you hold. But Conley, I think you can move on. Lakers are playing defense all of a sudden. Go figure. D'Angelo Russell had a slightly better ball game. Still only 23 minutes, but he got 15 shots up, and he was a little bit more kind of D-low-y in this game. And I have the same take on him that I've had since stuff started going sour, which is if you're in head-to-head, he's doing enough most games where you can hang on and it's not going to completely end your season. He's not good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's like helping your team. He's hurting a little more than he's helping most days, but you're still going to get like a dozen to 15 points and 4 or 5 assists. And his free throw percent has been pretty good. And he's going to get you around a steal and a couple of threes. And like, he's a bad filler level guy. Roto, you hold him and you put him on your bench. That's an easier call because we know he's in Lakers trade rumors and we know the Lakers are going to do something. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be D'Lo? Not guaranteed, but sure kind of feels like it's trending that way because Max Christie has taken that job and frankly has earned it. He's made them considerably better with decent play lately because Christie can defend like Cam Reddish, but he's actually an offensive threat. Not great, but a threat. That's all you need to be. That's all that Cam Reddish needed to be is an offensive threat. Gabe Vincent is also finally shooting the ball a little bit better, so that's meant that there's really no pathway for D'Lo to get high 20s in minutes again unless Austin Reeves misses time or LeBron misses time or something like that. But I do think that the pathway there, you've got to find a way to hang on as long as you can. Because unlike someone like a Mike Conley, who's also not playing well, we know that there's that extra gear. And it might have to be at some other place, but it's enough right now. Over on the Kings side, you're in start the starters mode. Kevin Huerter came back, so the Keon Ellis weekly stream kind of got blown up. And then you just, you hope for the best. Kings didn't play particularly well in this ball game. DeMar DeRozan does seem to struggle against the Lakers for whatever reason. And I think the Lakers were happy with the way this one went. They slowed down Sabonis, which they never do. And no fantasy thoughts. And then finally we arrive at the last game on the card, a scant 39 minutes into the podcast. Nikola Jokic is a monster, but the Nuggets really didn't take this game seriously until it was too late. Christian Brown came back, but only played 25 minutes. Russell Westbrook saw some bonus run in this game. He was part of a unit that was actually winning its minutes. I don't think I have the confidence to play Russell Westbrook when the Nuggets have their full starting 5, which they did. And yes, obviously, if we had played him in this ball game, it would have gone better. I would prefer to play Westbrook only when one of Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, or Michael Porter Jr. is out. When one of those 3 guys is out, there's a pretty clear path for Russ to get 25 or more minutes, and then he can, anybody playing alongside Jokic is going to rack up stats. This was more fluky. He doesn't typically do this much when the team has all 5 starters. So I would hang on to Christian Brown. To me, this feels a little bit more like a blip, but if you wanted to go sort of speculative-y on Westbrook, who's likely rostered because he had that run when Brown was out, and he's had like 4 good games in his last 6. So he's floating around on a couple of waiver wires, but not that many. And I guess worth a gander. But really, I think we need somebody out. And then the Blazers, I was going to call them the Portlands. The Blazers, DeAndre Ayton played 34 minutes. Finally, which if you have Ayton, this is your sell high moment. Do it now. Do it fast. He's not averaging 34, 35 minutes a game. He's averaging 30, and it was slightly sub 30, I think, before this ball game. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get you points and rebounds, and he's going to do it on decent percentages. That's the DeAndre Ayton way. But he's also very prone to missing ball games. We know that he's on the block. We know Robert Williams is on the block. A lot of things can shake out in Portland. Enough explanation, Dan. What do I do? DeAndre Ayton, you sell. If you can, try to get another center ranked around 75. Donovan Clingan, you probably try to hang on. I mean, in Roto, you could put him on your bench, so that's a little bit of an easier call. Head-to-head, boy, it's a tough one. If you drop him, someone's probably going to pick him up. And we know that he can put up value in only 20 minutes, but I don't know that he's going to get 20 minutes right now with all three centers healthy. So here's the thing. You know your team better than I do. If I had Donovan Clingan on a head-to-head team, I'd probably drop him. Same story with Robert Williams. So don't think that I'm trying to pick favorites here. Those guys just aren't going to get enough minutes when all three centers are upright. They're not. They're the second and third centers, and they're basically splitting what would be like third center minutes right now. Well, they're not splitting. They're splitting second center minutes, and it turns them each into third centers. So, yeah, Roto, I mean, if you have a spot that's just dead weight that you don't need and you're cruising along towards the game's cap, I would probably hang on to Robert Williams because we know he's on the block, and he goes someplace where he gets 20 minutes. He'll post huge value. Donovan Clingan kind of needs, well, he would need Robert Williams to get moved, and then he would be able to inch up to value, or a DeAndre Ayton situation if he misses time or whatever. So, I mean, there's paths for both of those guys. I think I like the Robert Williams upside a little bit more. I think the idea, although at the same time, there's probably a higher likelihood that Donovan Clingan is starting and racking up big minutes in March. So, I don't know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Whichever one of those guys you like more, just stuff them on a Roto bench and go from there. But again, head-to-head, it's a tough ask to hang on to either of them. So maybe not. Toumani Camara is a schedule play. Denny Avdia is a schedule play. Jeremy Grant is a sell high anytime he has a decent ball game. Anthony Simons is kind of really leveling out after a really, 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 really bad start. So if you can sell him for someone inside the top 80, you do it. If you can't, you probably just ride it and see how far the hot streak goes. And then Shaedon Sharpe, he's going to be way up and down, as volume guys are that don't do a lot of other stuff and miss a lot of their shots. I still believe punt field goal guy at his core. Do with that as you see fit. We made it. Okay, so my hope for Old Man Squad today is to get a hot and cold show out in like the next 3.5-ish hours, something like that. We'll see how timing goes. If that doesn't pan out, we'll do something else that maybe is a little bit quicker. Tomorrow, Saturday morning, we'll have our week in review show, because then we'll have these Friday night games. We can also look back on stuff from Monday earlier in the week and just kind of pull it all together. But there hasn't been a week to review right now. I don't know that there will be after 6 more teams play tonight, but that's the way we're going to roll with it. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Love you guys. Follow on Twitter at Dan Bespris. And yeah, let's put a pin in this one. Thanks for hanging out with us for the long haul here on that big recap show. I'll talk to you when I talk to you, which will probably be soon. Goodbye.